And I'll call the meeting to order. Public notice having been duly given and a quorum being present, the meeting is duly constituted. The first order of business is approval of the agenda. Mandy, can you go through these?
Sure. So we will be adding item 9B, which is resolution for potable water system supply and consumption data collection. Resolution 9C, log removal at Lions Bay Beach. And Resolution 9D, rock removal at Lions Bay Beach. We'll also be adding under 12B, flower pot day. And one change under bylaws, item 10D, the word amendment should be removed.
Sorry, say that again.
10D, it should be property tax rates, not amendment.
Great, got it. Anybody else? Seeing none?
To add to the agenda?
Yeah?
Actually, yes, I wanted to add the cancellation with weekend shift for the fire department.
Okay, under what section? New business?
New business. Where's the new business?
Is new business in the right
11.
place?
Oh. Yeah,
It goes there?
12.
Okay, so C. Let's just call it fire department for now. Okay, anything else? Okay, motion to approve the agenda. Second? All in favor? Opposed? That carries. Public participation.
Say something, there's a game on, okay? Yeah. I'm starting right now.
Okay, the metric is changing.
Well, it's on PVR, but come on. I've got cash in the line.
Okay, ixnay on any is say.
Okay, on fay, off fay.
Okay, public participation. Members of the public, would you care to address council for, 2 minutes? Seeing no takers, we'll move on to delegations.
None.
There are none. We'll move on to adoption of the minutes, starting with the minutes of the March 26th special council meeting on page 3.
Mayor, can I address council after listening for a little while or no?
No. This is the opportunity now, and there's public participation at the end.
Okay.
At the end is in an hour and a half.
Okay.
Good.
I can do that.
Yep.
Okay. Can I?
Yes?
We'll have to revert back to
Okay, hang
public
on, so-
participation.
What do I do?
We just have to change
Speak
the,
loudly. Stand there too.
We'll just say we're reverting back to public participation.
right, so we're reverting back on the agenda to item 3, public participation. Ray Kisser.
So I have imperfect information, however, I believe that some of the meeting tonight is about the fire hall and funding staff, that kind of thing, true?
That's correct, we've just added
Okay,
it this
so-
very second.
So personally, I hate paying more taxes, so that the increase that just happened, I hate, okay? However, I'm in my 50s, good shape, but I'm in my 50s, and a lot of people here are. I'm really concerned and don't want to, in any way, be part of a decision that could cost me or somebody that I know in my life, if I have a heart attack or something in this community, and don't get the response because of lack of staff, because we can't fund it. So to me, that is worth whatever expenditure, thinking about myself and my kids, but all my friends who are in this age category, that may or may not be in terrific shape, they may have to suffer a heart attack, God forbid. We have the ability to handle that here with this staff that's here. So when we're voting on this, let's consider that. We all have friends in the community in a similar demographic. That's what I have to say.
Thanks, Ray. And you kept it to 2 minutes.
A minute and a half.
Okay, so we'll move on
We're not
to...
talking about soccer, so I think I'm on
Okay, so we'll continue with the, back to item 5A, the minutes of the meeting. Commentary? Questions? I have several. This was the tabled minutes because there was going to be some changes. Mandy, you listened to the tape. And is this what came out?
Yeah, there was just concern about the wording in under 4A, that it was kind of go around the table and say your 2 cents. And,
That's right.
Right? So
Yeah.
this is just, it's more tapered down.
Yeah, I'm concerned that this makes it look like we're fixing a typo. In fact, what it was is that council removed the wiring to intakes line item from this year's budget consideration and added a new one, water contingency. This wording makes it look like we're just fixing a typo.
Okay, because the direction given was actually on the first few sentences and not the last few.
Yeah, I understand.
So
But
we
I
can
guess
go
we
back
never
and
got to-
change them
So
again.
the point is that how we found the money, at least some of the money, the 40,000 of the money was to kill the one project.
Yeah,
Does
no,
anybody else feel that the minutes should be a little more accurate in reflecting that we killed one project and added a new one? I'm happy with it otherwise. What do you say, Manny?
I was just going to say the direction from the last meeting actually didn't have anything to do with that sentence, so that's why it wasn't changed.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, I mean, if we
We
think
can
it's a
change
nicety,
it.
That's how it came up, and that was how the decision path went. I don't really have a problem with the way it's written, but that is more accurate.
We can change it however council wishes.
let's do it something about replace the one project with another one. Good, thank you. And then the other one was, be it resolved that the Village of Lions Bay sets the tax rate at 8%. That's not correct, is it? Because it was an 8% increase according to the discussion above. The tax rate is 0.0035% or something.
Is it setting the tax rate or is it an 8% increase? What's the proper terminology? Okay,
think it's increased.
thank you.
I don't think anybody would stand still for an 8% tax rate.
That would be higher than Mr. Kisser was anticipating.
Yeah, thanks for your input. But
Okay,
$80,000 each, I think is probably a little excessive.
so council approves an 8% tax increase, correct?
Well, we didn't approve it then. That was, we endorsed
Sorry,
the
you
budget.
endorsed it,
We
correct,
endorsed the
yeah.
budget carrying an 8% tax increase.
Right.
And should we, you can actually answer this first now, Pam, because I was wondering about this. Is it on the proportion, is it on the assessment-based tax, or is that overall including parcel taxes?
It's overall.
So the parcel taxes go up 8%, the assessment tax,
You can set the rate separately, but this time it was 8% of parcel tax and tax rates, and you're right, it's overall increase to the budget, and then the increase you get is dependent on the assessed value.
except for the utility parcel taxes, which went up different rates. Sewer went up, whatever, water
Not the
went.
parcel tax rate, just the actual utility user rates for sewer and water.
Oh, is that the case? So the utility parcel taxes didn't go up?
All the parcel taxes went up except Brunswick Beach because it's fixed.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that's a separate tax rate than the actual property tax rate. When we say property taxes, we mean property taxes and the parcel tax.
And what is the term there? Is it proportional taxes? Is it assessment-based taxes? What's the municipal term?
Super is property tax increase, and then a more official term, but usually generally referred to as property tax increase, then
Yeah.
the parcel tax increase, and then the utility rate increase.
Okay, well, I want to get the nomenclature right at some point because, property tax to me is everything, including parcel taxes, anything that isn't a rate. But okay, we'll get to that later. So we're good at just, shall we say, a property tax increase of 8%.
Yep.
Okay, anything else? So we'll do these separately. So a motion to accept the minutes of the March 26th meeting. Thanks. Second. All in favour? Opposed? Carries. So we'll go on to the minutes of the meeting of April 7th. Anybody? Nobody? Going. I've got a few, very few, I promise. Under 4A, believe there was an action item. Oh, no, it just is the action item. And that was that issue would go back to the Finance Committee, was it not? I mean, certainly action did occur. So I'm wondering if it needs to be shown to have been
Yeah,
an
I'll have
action
to
item.
listen to the audio. I can't
Can you just check?
recall what the
Thanks.
direction given was.
But it does say council will review the group submission.
And that's
Yeah, that's
what
an
I
action
understood
item.
was
Yeah.
taken away from there, and that did happen. So we can
Necessarily.
term it as an action item.
Oh, that is certainly an action item.
Yeah.
No, I have a line here. What the heck does this mean? Be it resolved. Okay, that's fine. And again, the action item issue under 9A.
Yes, I haven't sent that letter yet.
Okay, is that an action item?
Well, the resolution results in an action, so you wouldn't have an action necessarily with your,
Okay, so there should be an action item there.
no.
There should not?
No, the action is in there. That we formally request Metro, so that's the action,
Oh, okay.
right? So I have that
Uh,
letter drafted. I
It's
just haven't
lucky
sent it yet.
that we can sort of read through this because other than that, there's no action item on that. But, okay. I know you can remember this. I don't know how you remember
Yeah,
this.
I've already drafted the letter, I just haven't sent it yet.
Okay. Same again, under 13. Is that CAO Council will research potential options? Is that not an action item? This is more a format thing than anything.
Sure, yeah,
I don't-
should be.
I don't know. Okay, that's all I had. All good? Motion to accept? And second? All in favour? Opposed? Okay. Okay. Let us proceed to item 6, business arising. These are just the action items, so returning to the minutes of the 26th, these were tabled, and so all the action items have been discussed, correct?
I don't think, were there any?
There were none, so that's okay. So moving on to the minutes of the 7th of April, action item. We already discussed the one where it's going back to council to discuss the community grant to the
Yes.
Play School Society, so that's taken care of. What's the next one there, Mandy?
Yeah,
CA
we've
Coons will listen to
we've
the
just
audio.
talked about this, so we've
Okay.
amended the minutes and
Okay, so
that's
that was
done.
for the
Yeah.
minutes? Okay, good, thanks. We've talked about the equality one. So we'll just go through the correspondence. I did speak to Mike Clay. He would like us to produce a resolution or endorsement of whatever it was that they asked us to do.
Okay.
So can we do that for next meeting? The whole thing comes to a head in May, so
Okay.
timing is fine. Shauna did do that action item. Ron and I discussed looking at the agenda. There was really little value to Lions Bay for me going to this thing. It was for the LGMA.
Bureaucrats.
Yeah, it would have been more suitable for you than me.
And I bet you the majority of that will come back to UBCM in September.
Exactly. So UBCM is a much more our speed, so I made the call not to go. So that was a good action item. Action item number next.
That's done, it's in this package.
Yes. Action item number next. Councillor Bain to write a piece of the fire rescue. You did that. Thank you, Fred. Thank you,
The last
Andy.
one is finished as well.
Excellent. The action item under public questions comment, Doug Pollock's thing about parking passes. Anything to report there? Yeah, okay. And that was it. So we will,
I have two. Okay, number 3, I just want to actually, with Mr. Zordigan's question about parking, I think he sent me an email later to say something about getting information regarding towing companies. Do we just forward, like, what are we supposed to do with that?
Well, there's Payless signs in the village, so you can certainly call them. But I haven't had a chance to look at the Payless contract and see if the car needs to be ticketed yet. There's some talk that it may not be towed if it's not ticketed.
He
So
said he wanted it to be conveyed to all the residents in his street, and I'm thinking, okay, what are we supposed to do with that?
I got the impression from that one as well, that was what we were thinking about, although we didn't spend a lot of time talking about it. But I think that from the point of view, I've had a couple of complaints from residents about parking, especially around rental homes, where there's lots and lots of residents,
Yeah.
or lots and lots of people coming every weekend. And I think that the ability of the towing company to have the ability to tow, a vehicle is very important without a ticket.
But that may be a regulation under the Motor Vehicle Act, so that might be why. I have to look into it.
I guess it's a big part of the discussion this afternoon on
Yeah.
parking, towing, and this kind of stuff. And CAO was going to take this away, so we were hard on a number.
It's a bigger
Yeah.
it's a bigger kettle of fish than I don't want to start towing cars from outside somebody's house because
Yeah.
somebody's having a party that night.
Yeah, we don't want to encourage every resident to just call the towing
Yeah,
company.
I can see an issue around beach parking.
And we also don't have bylaw enforcement right now, but in 2 weeks, our bylaw enforcement starts, so we'll be able to address some of the bigger issues.
To Councillor Watterson, please, why don't we table this with the CAO to, once you know the answer, to make the call to Mr. Zordigan?
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
And then for myself, action item 11. So I did attend the West Vancouver Blue Dot Movement, or Blue Dot Day, and the person who was organizing it gave me a number she was actually organizing it for West Van, but she gave me a number for someone to contact if we want to bring it into Lions Bay and what we need to do. So I haven't had a chance to do that, and I will.
Yeah, thanks for picking that up. And that I have not called BC Hydro yet. It's not a high priority at this stage.
And then C, with regards to the special parking permit. So will we issue?
Reception has been in touch with Heather.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Great, thanks. So motion to accept these minutes. Second, all in favour? Opposed? That carries. So we'll move on to 7A, Lions Bay Childcare.
That's mine, Mayor Byrne. Mayor Burr, I apologize to you and my colleagues for not researching this application further when it came forward. Information of significant relevance since then shows that there's greater than 10 families that were involved in this, which I didn't pursue that further at the time. And also in terms of the request for approximately $2,400, there was no sense to me that this was going to be recurring, non-recurring. My understanding now is that due to the newness of this particular piece of the enterprise, they were unable to facilitate applying for the gaming grant, which would be normal for this type of enterprise. So the window was gone before they opened the doors. And with their organization, I expect that will occur next year, so that won't be reoccurring. I drew this topic to the resident members of the Finance Committee just as a peripheral piece. They were unanimous in their support of this application. Lastly, I'd like to say that with the information that I've revealed to everybody, that both staff and I feel that this particular application would rank number one of all of the applications in terms of the importance and value to the village. I'd be ready to go to a motion to support this if staff could give some guidance on how we do this, either at the budget or separate resolution.
Maybe I'll have our CFO comment on that. What's the best way to, is it a new resolution, Pam, to add it?
New resolution for the use of grants. We have
Okay.
to rescind the prior resolution and then have a new resolution to include this, and then it will be included in the new budget for the third reading.
Okay.
So it wouldn't mess with the two readings we're planning on doing today?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. I'll move that recommendation. Can I have a second? Any further discussion? Fred?
Have I missed something here? I don't understand why we're rescinding it to put another motion. Hasn't the application been approved?
It was declined.
No, we declined it. It was one of the ones we declined because we had understood it to be a private enterprise looking for an ongoing grant. Megan came and spoke, if you remember, the last council, saying, hang on a sec, and set us on the correct path, I would say. So I fully agree with Ron. I'll also point out that, not only is it not 10 families, it's more. Those families, if you do the math, it's actually 40 or 50 Lions Bay residents, being that there's more than one person in a family. So it is a significant aspect of Lions Bay. It's a significant aspect of our long-term strategy to provide an attractive home for young families in order to have people living here in 50 years' time. So I fully support it as well.
Okay.
Anybody else? So I'll call the question. All in favour? Opposed? That carries. So you can handle the technical details, Pam? Good. Okay, good. I'll just make note that that's actually Lions Bay Play School Society. I don't know if we want to change it in anywhere.
That's good,
but
so that we know next time.
okay, we'll move on to reports. CAO. Congratulations.
Thank you.
CAO no longer Coons.
No longer Kuntz, yes. Good luck spelling it.
It's I before C except after C,
That's right, the rest is easy. So my report, because I was away, does not look a whole lot different than the report prior. But what I was able to compile earlier today, actually kind of at the 11th hour, was some statistics based on the conversation at the last meeting, some web stats, some FOI stats comparing year to year, and also the customer service requests that we get from just so you have some statistics. I know it's not everything that council asked for, and I believe there was an action item that council was going to brainstorm some additional KPIs, but just as a starting point, I wanted to circulate that one as an addendum to the report that's not all that new in here.
Through the mayor, while we're all going through this, I don't consider myself to be an expert in behind the surface. If can somebody come to one of these pages as a mistaken hit, like they maybe Lions Bay is a small thing where you put your boat in Massachusetts. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly.
Certainly you can.
Yeah.
There's 4 ways to reach your website. Or organic, meaning you type it in. A reference, meaning that you've clicked a link. I can't remember the other 2 off the top of my head.
Want to be search engine
A search engine, thank you. What's the 4th one?
by accident.
No, that's organic. So you typed it in. You didn't mean to, but we don't know that. So, yeah, that's just standard stuff. Web metrics are there. You see, you can see that there was huge engagement in November, December.
Yeah, and we know exactly why.
We know exactly why.
Yeah.
The tool that we have right now is not the best. It's okay. Google Analytics is free, and at some point, Manny will get to put it on the website. It's just a case of pasting the right JavaScript in. That'll tell you where it came from, what the search engine was used, what search term they typed to get there, if they did, etc., etc.
One thing I will talk about on here, that bottom chart, Freedom of Information requests. So 2015, we've had 3 requests so far. The 2014 number, 18, is how many we had in 2014. The number in brackets is how many we had at this point in the year. And same thing with 2013. One arrived while I was away last week, and I've put a note in there. It's massive. It's going to take about 100 hours of time, I figure, at minimum. So.
Can we break these down to outside and in village? Or is that?
This is in the village, and the best I can determine, it's the result of a neighbor dispute.
Okay, well, that's a bigger discussion, but it's important to know that there are these. Maybe you need to. Can we do hours? FOI request hours?
We have the ability to track hours now, but we won't have anything to compare them to because we didn't have any ability to track hours before 2015.
Yeah, because one FOI request is not the whole story.
No, and I built an FOI database that tracks the time that we use, and that's what we're using now.
You see, I'm already interested in this metric.
Through the mayor, how would a neighbor dispute get into FOI? So somewhere in the council stuff, we're talking about two neighbors?
Nope, that's an in-camera discussion for if you need
Oh.
me to elaborate on it. That's all I can tell you here in this forum.
Okay, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
figure out how we get drawn into this.
Yeah.
So regarding this report, do we get to, for example, the FOI, do we get to know the subject matter?
No, you don't. The only reason that would come forward to council is if I need some kind of a resolution in order to execute the request.
Yeah, let's not, this is a metric, we're trying to understand.
Yeah, all right.
We think maybe, we don't know, we haven't correlated it yet to anything, but maybe fewer FOI requests mean more satisfaction or something, I don't know. It's hard to determine correlations until you start looking at
Less
trends.
activity.
Something, who knows? Web data is very obvious. We all understand why that, what sort of metric that provides.
And the other thing I'll speak to is the back of the second page, and that is the CSRs, the customer service requests that go to Public Works. I couldn't get in touch with Nikki today. She's kind of secluded herself to write the RFP. So I don't know if these are only the requests that come through reception to Public Works, or if these also include phone calls that go directly to Public Works. I suspect it's the former, but I couldn't confirm that with Nikki. So if it is the former, then this number is likely to be much higher.
See, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm already interested in this metric.
That's
Even
really-
the
that's really a
potentially
lot.
low number is
That's really
And
a lot.
that's just received
That's
in March.
more than like a coyote's running across my driveway.
That's requiring Public Works staff to do something. I mean, varying levels of doing something, but that requires Public Works attention in some manner.
How do you track that? Like, where's that number coming from?
Those are the requests that come through Front Counter, and then Front Counter uses Outlook to assign the task to Public Works, and then we monitor from there.
Good to know.
Okay, that's good to know. I'll just interject at this point, not that it's anything to do with metrics. You may have seen coming down the pike, because it was addressed to council, something from a company called cclickfix.com. They set me up on a pilot yesterday. I've been playing with it. It's a full ticketing system. I'm still looking at it before I even bring it to Mandy to see if we want to consider using it. It's free for now.
I'm sorry, how did that come about?
They sent it in to council.com. I mean, council@lionsbay.ca. I sent it to Nikki. She evaluated it. I can't remember what the history was, but I'll just point out that may be, to answer your question, Jim, there's potentially a tool available that's might give us a handle on what these CSRs are. If it's a coyote running across the driveway, that's less serious than a tree's falling on my house.
We can track, though, what the CSRs are in the office.
I'm trying to avoid extra work. I want it to be able to just feed directly into a website somewhere. But
The website is, without this data, the website is not useless, but we don't know how to improve on it or how to increase service through the website. So without this good accurate information, we can't formulate that.
Are they US based?
yeah,
We can't use them.
apparently we can. They're servicing New West and Revelstoke already.
Their server has to be in Canada, so we'll have to follow up on that. There's municipalities that don't know that. So,
I did ask them that question.
Okay.
But apparently they've addressed it. I'll tell you what the answer is on that one. So we're getting off topic slightly. It's just like using Facebook or Twitter, they say. It's just a social networking service.
right, but on Facebook and Twitter, we're not storing any personal information.
No, there's no
So
personal
that's
information.
different.
Apparently, I actually meant to ask Jonathan Cote about it today, the mayor of New West, but I forgot. Okay, so that's good. I had one or two questions on your report. Do you have is there any staff involvement in your involvement in the emergency forum?
On
Public
Thursday
safety
night,
forum.
not as far as I'm aware.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And the other thing was, I'd say these deadlines that are now passed, we either need to say done or you need to extend them. So you've got a 1st of Feb and a 31st of March.
Yeah, I realized that after I threw this together on my way out to vacation and realized it after it was compiled. So I apologize
that's
if
fine.
that'll be fixed for next
Yeah,
time.
no, I don't want there to be unrealistic expectations. That's all I had. Anybody else?
I have one with regards to the age-friendly programming with the coordinator. I saw an email, you said that we've had no,
We didn't get a single application, which is unfortunate with the time we spent with the union to negotiate posting that job.
Because I was actually questioned by a resident who said that she submitted a application. She was wondering what's happening. I said, I don't know.
We didn't get a single. There wasn't, and mine was the only email on that posting. I didn't get a single application.
So should I tell her to resend it?
Yeah, you can tell her to, or phone me and make sure that I get it, but
And what happens if she's the only one applicant?
I'd still interview her
Yeah.
and do
Yeah,
her
so maybe-
background check.
maybe
and
unsuitable.
You still have to go through
Yeah.
the motions, but. Can you let me know after what her name is?
Yeah, she forwarded me her. I'll pass it to you.
Okay, so while Helen's doing that, anything else, Helen?
Nope, that was it.
Anything else? Okay, thanks, Mandy. That's great. And thanks for the first cut at the metrics. We're getting there. As you will recall,
Thank you.
we are looking to adopt some metrics at the next council meeting. So these are clearly available. There'll be very few more. We want to start small and see how useful these metrics are. And we will look at the metrics page and see how many hits there are to see how many people are going to look at it. I do know that when we were in our water situation in December, the server almost fell over because so many people were looking at the water levels in the reservoirs. Okay, there's a special case. But 8B, Mayor and Council. I was going to actually ask if we need this item on the agenda, seeing as there's no point in reporting to ourselves.
It says in our procedure bylaw, it's one of the headings.
Should it be?
Well, I think it's an opportunity if anybody has anything to report out on, and it's a standing agenda item. Doesn't mean you necessarily have to submit anything, but it's like a placeholder in case something comes up.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm
It's an
happy.
item that you feel obligated to talk to if you have an issue or something to raise, and it's not on the agenda.
It's very broad.
Yeah.
The mayor would now like to talk about his vacation.
Well, it depends. I mean,
Well-
your predecessor used to talk about all the goings-on at Metro and that kind of thing. That's where she felt that was appropriate. But, you know, if there's other areas of the agenda that's more appropriately fitting, then so be it.
Mayor Burr, I think I think it was an Excel spreadsheet that you did for main and for in-camera. If I had 3 items, I'd put it on there and submit it. It's just much easier to make reference to it than wing it.
Absolutely. Okay, for now though, we don't have anything. Okay, so we'll move on to committees. Trees, Views and Landscapes Committee, tree application 57 on page 13. Can I ask you, Si, all top wood must be removed? Surely it's just all topped
Clean up.
stuff. What about leaves? In other words, is this too specific?
Maybe we change the debris, but
I would have said material.
material, if you wish.
I mean, it's a form letter, right?
We can change it to whatever word you want.
You decide. Okay, so is this before you've seen it? It's been recommended by the tree committee, so we have to do a motion, correct? So can I have a motion to approve
Approve the
Second.
recommendations of the tree committee.
that one? Thank you. All in favour? Opposed? That carries.
Actually, there is one small point. It'd be very hard to actually leave leaves and not leave leaves without wood, or vice versa. Unless they're strict leaves with the wood. So if the wood gets removed, you need to go with it.
Depends. You know, if they leave the branch lying there for a week, all the leaves fall off. And then they take the branch away and there's a pile of leaves.
Mayor Burr, close the door.
Thank you.
So who checks to see if they've been compliant? Does someone come back and make sure they haven't left a pile of
I think do
rubber?
you?
I do. I'm not sure what I should do or meant to do, but I definitely do.
I think Tony used to as well.
Yeah. To make
So-
sure it's been followed through.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, you have to rely on a little bit of pull information here rather than push. You know, nobody's going to report that it's done. You have to go and check.
And there was an example, I think, of, I think 2 applications ago where the person topped trees versus taking them down, and that was not what was agreed. So I'm now talking with both parties about getting to it.
Good, okay, so we'll move on to the Manager of Public Works Information Report on page 15, but Nikki's not here, I'm
She's
hearing.
not. No.
So I had multiple questions and comments, but I believe only Nikki would be able to answer them. So I suspect, unless anybody else had anything to add, ask of that Mandy would know. I think we'll have to table this report or wait for an update when Nikki is available. The one question I would want to ask, this debris net that I see, I'll just investigate debris net hazard mitigation strategies for Harvey and Mag Creeks upstream of both intakes. It's the first I've heard of it. Where would that budget come from?
I'll have to ask Nikki.
Yeah, okay, I thought you might know.
Yeah. Normally Nikki and I touch on her report the week prior, but I wasn't here.
The other one I had a question was the research cost-effective smell remediation options for the sewage treatment plant and obtain quotients, blah, 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 from relevant vendors. Per the 2015 budget process is the note here. It says this project is no longer funded. I don't recall that being requested.
To carry forward from 14.
Yeah, I think it was.
And we killed that? I don't think we...
We would have taxed for it already.
I don't recall seeing that.
No, I think that was from the last
It was
conference.
2014 council.
Definitely.
But I don't think we
It
killed
wasn't
the
in the
budget.
current one.
It wasn't a current request, but I mean, I'm still
Yeah, I can check with Nikki.
waking from nightmare of studying the budget request, so it wasn't on there. So I want to understand where that comes from, because it wasn't asked. I know that it's been talked about, and I happen to know more than I would want to know about that sort of thing.
And sorry, the other one you asked me about was debris net, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
the debris net, they were talking about big money. I would suggest that would be pending the IMP, because for all we know, the IMP says we relocate the intakes. I don't know.
I'm just wondering if that was part of Bill Canada. Can't remember off the top of my head.
Not as far as I understood the scope of the Bill Canada. Okay. Okay, so we'll leave the rest, okay? Take that as an okay. We'll move on to E, Emergency Service Reports, page 19. Police, 2 police reports. Why are there 2 reports, Andy? Oh, one's a false
One is
alarm
false
report,
alarms.
that's right.
Yeah.
Prostitution is still under control in Lions Bay,
As we know it.
as far as we know, as far as the police have told us, yes.
But we're up in take auto without consent.
Yeah, we are. Well, as you know, so Neil Cross and Bill O'Brien came and talked to us about this. You'll have nothing, and then you'll have some rascal walking through the village, and there'll be 5 theft from motor vehicles that month. So we'll move on to resolutions. The first one is proclamation for National Missing Children's Month and Missing Children's Day, page 21.
So this is an action item from the last council meeting.
Yes. So you've read the recommendation. The question is I did have one question, Mandy. This is a legit organization.
It is.
It's
yes.
mainstream, endorsed by the great and the good.
The president is Crystal Dennehy. She's the mother of
Mrs.
Michael Dennehy.
Dennehy's,
Yeah,
missing
she went
child, so-
missing a long, long time ago, and she was a big part of this.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
It's been around since 82 or
Yeah,
something,
I
80,
saw that. I didn't have time to research them.
84.
In England there's a royal patron, the Duke of Kent. And you think, okay, well if he says it's okay, then it's okay. Not that the Duke of Kent is necessarily the paragon of virtue. Okay, so we'll move straight to a resolution. Can I have a motion? Thanks, and a second. Any further discussion?
I was just wondering, so what does a proclamation entail? What do we just issue this letter?
It's
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, it's a
formal.
nice, really formal, nice
Yeah,
letter.
it's just a nice
The
way.
mayor, on behalf of the village, endorses this endeavor.
And we publish it
Yeah.
somewhere. Okay, so do I just read the resolution text?
Yes,
Therefore be it
please.
resolved that I, Culver of the village of Lions Bay, do hereby proclaim May as Child Finds Green Ribbon of Hope Month and May 25th as National Missing Children's Day. I urge our citizens to wear a green ribbon as a symbol of hope for the recovery of all missing children and to remain vigilant in our common desire to protect and nurture the youth of our province. All in favour of that motion? Opposed? Seeing none, that motion carries.
And just for formality, I'll get you to make the resolution that was on the cover page of that report.
As a backup recommendation, the Council of the Village Lions Bay does here proclaim May as Child Finds Green Ribbon of Hope Month and May 25th as National Missing Children's Day, and that the Mayor issue a formal proclamation as requested in the literature from Child Find BC dated March 11th, 2015. That's actually a better recommendation. Maybe we can just replace the previous one with this one.
Do you
We'll
want
do
to
that.
strike the first one?
You tell me.
We'll strike the first one and keep it as the official proclamation. Okay?
Fine. Okay, so we have to do a motion to strike?
Yes.
Okay, so motion to strike the first one. Second, all in favour? Opposed? Carried. So the motion is on this recommendation, which I've just read. Can I have a mover? Thank you. Thank you. Second? Thanks. All opposed? All in favour, sorry. Opposed? Carried. Okay, so that's good to go.
This is 9B.
9B. This is a recommendation that Council directs staff to identify the necessary equipment for purchase and installation to collect digital data, potable water supply and consumption characteristics, and to report back to Council to outline the implementation of the strategy selected equipment. So you took out the deadlines here.
I did. Yeah. April 30th is next week.
Yeah, no, I understand. That was probably unrealistic. The issue is, I'm hearing water flushing, I'm hearing this, that, and the other. At a certain point, we go beyond the point of return. This is not required anymore. I would like us to stipulate when we want to start seeing data. So I believe...
So it's mid-May, fair?
Okay. Let me just think for a second. Because as Fred made the very good point, at Strategy Committee, we need a baseline. And we're getting close to the period where the creeks are not flowing beyond our requirements.
Right.
So, but I think mid-May will do it, in fact, any day, any time in May. So can we say by the end of May?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so can I have a motion on this one? Thanks. Second? All in favour? Opposed? Seeing none, that carries unanimously. Thank you. The next one is the log removal.
Yeah.
Where does this go? Okay, this is good. I like the rewrite.
Yeah, I hope it's accurate. I was going from...
That's fine, yeah, it looks good to me. Okay, so we've discussed this at Strategy Committee. As a reminder, we decided not to include Kelvin Grove in the log harvesting, and we decided that we want, in Nikki's best judgment, the logs will be dropped in the right place, but specifically not on the north side of Boyer in the channel. So the resolution is that Council directs staff to arrange handling of all logs on Lions Bay Beach Park as marked by Mayor Burr, that's me, with rejects responsibly disposed of in the Public Work Manager's judgment as soon as is reasonably possible and prior to the annual beach sand deposit. Can I have a motion? Second? All in favour? Opposed? Seeing none, that carries unanimously. Thank you. And D, rock removal.
My exercise.
Remember, there were a lot of 6-inch rocks.
I don't know how long it takes to, I mean, my experience of excavation is with Kobusus, it would take them 45 minutes to do this job.
To top to bottom, an hour?
Yeah, an hour.
Thanks.
Now, that's of course not the only cost, there's the drop charges in and out.
Okay, an hour.
Assuming, if we had a backhoe, I'm sure we could find an hour. We don't have a backhoe, and the bobcat's not big enough, because there are also rocks the size of this table. It's the weirdest stuff down there. So there is a budget impact.
We don't think it's a lot, though, right?
No, I don't think it's a lot. It would be contracted. You'd have to let the contract, or do we have a preferred vendor for this sort of thing?
We don't have a preferred
It's under
vendor list.
$2,000.
It's under 2, though, so we don't have to get 3 quotes. It's good practice to do it, but
Okay, so we've discussed this. Can I have a motion, and we'll discuss it some more? And a second. So further discussion? Okay, so the resolution is that Council directs staff to arrange contractor removal of all rocks larger than 6 inches, maybe we can say approximately, but that's fine, in any dimension from Main Beach down to the low spring tide line by June 30th.
One
June
thing that,
30th?
well, that's what you're,
Did it?
yeah,
It's halfway through summer.
that's what I thought when I thought maybe it was a typo.
Let's make it May
So,
31st.
It's right here.
Yeah, I don't have a
Rock
question.
removal, yeah, by June 30th, 2015.
That's a little late.
That's a little late. What was I thinking?
Well, it's contractors. It's
Yeah,
2
2 weeks
weeks.
tomorrow. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, well, let's make it, what, Mandy? Kids
Do you
are,
want to
kids are
give
swimming.
give it 2 weeks?
Yeah,
Okay.
Let's say-
May, what's that, the 8th, I think?
okay, good.
I think May 8th is the Friday.
Okay, so as amended, all in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that carries unanimously. Thanks. And that's it for resolutions. We'll move on to 10 bylaws. The first is the 5-year plan, starting on page 25. Pam, do you want to come and talk to this? Or do you want to listen? What's the plan?
This is not new information for council, it's just in a formal bylaw
Yeah.
format. You've seen all this?
So can I just confirm that this includes the whole amortization amount now? Thanks. And the adjustment to grant, what does that mean?
Adjustment to grant?
Oh, that's what we're talking about. You see, I was anticipating something. Yeah, okay, good. So it doesn't have that, that'll come through in the next reading?
That was discussed outside the finance committee.
Yeah, it was, okay, good.
We adjusted the amortization for that.
Okay, so then, under Schedule C, the CapEx, that 614,712 number, that's as endorsed by council. Okay? Under Schedule D, we have the table that says the proportion of revenue from each funding source, that's good. Then, and that's mandatory, right? That's required, yeah. And then there's the property tax distribution. Then there's a piece there that starts, the objective of council is to set taxes based on blah, 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 predominantly from, do we need that? That's
Taken from the charter. We-
stipulated
that's
text?
in the minimum. Some Schedule Ds are several pages, we've just done a minimum. That's required in the charter.
Okay, fine. It just seems to be committing us. It's in the charter to say historically the tax base for the village of Lions Bay has been residential.
We have to state what our philosophy is, so it's taken from prior bylaws.
Yeah, I know that we redo the budget bylaw every year, so we can change it when circumstances change, so it doesn't really matter, but I would suggest that we strike that last sentence. It's not germane to anything, it doesn't help. It's not necessary. It may hamstring us to a certain extent in the future or even now. I'd hate for somebody to say it's not 99.7, it's 99.68 and you rounded wrong or something, I don't know. You know, I want to make it as unsubject to interpretation as possible. Can we take out that sentence?
Sorry, which sentence?
Starting historically the tax base and up to residential properties. Well, mull on that one for a second. Do we need to provide the 2014 numbers?
Yes.
Okay. Fine. What do you say on the final sentence? If you want it, that's fine.
It is the truth. I think the point we're trying to make is that the bulk of the taxes come from residential, almost 100%. So I think it's an important fact. It's sort of the next thing we want to point out. There has to be some verbiage, and we're just pointing out in the schedule.
What if we took
We're
out the
making
number?
that so much of our revenue comes from residential.
Say that again, Mandy, sorry.
What if we just took out that number, if that's what you're concerned about?
Well, I mean, just
99?
repeat it straight below, and there goes my rounding point. 99.76 rounded is 99.8.
It's said historically, so it's really, I guess, the average of the two, 2014 and 2015.
Okay, so that does actually then raise my next point that comes in a future bylaw. I'm trying to understand why, given that we decided to max out the utilities multiplier, their contribution to our tax is less than half what it was the year before.
The multipliers don't come in. This is just the money we need.
Same.
We were gonna max out Link's property tax. So how is it that they're because this is the first time I've seen the relative contributions of the classes. So utilities is class 2, correct? How is it that they're less than half of last year?
The property tax value went down.
Sorry, what?
Your property tax assessment went down. So this is based on the assessed values.
Their assessment went down.
Reflect assessed value.
They were wise to us. They called their Pell in the assessment office. So their assessment went down when all of Lions Bay's went up.
0.05, 0.03 on an assessed value of a couple of $100,000. We're talking literally dollars here.
No, it went from 0.12% contribution to
So
our.
I thought you were talking about recreation, 0.05,
Utilities.
0.03.
No, that I can. I'm not worried about recreational, which there's only one property. Utilities, sea and rail. Now, I know this is only a first and second reading, so we can tighten up on numbers, but when I looked at the numbers in the subsequent things, I thought, hang on a sec, but are these predicated on each other, or, in other words, if we approve the first one, does it automatically set, I'm speaking specifically on page 43, which is the tax rates bylaw. When I do the math, I make the utilities multiplier 19.65, not 30.
The multiplier, this is just the property value. This is just what we get from DC assessment. This is the total property value, which is out of our control, and this is the percentage value.
No, I'm talking about on page 3 or page 43 of the package. That's the tax rate.
I understand, but I'm talking about Schedule D, your question is that. And there's nothing, the numbers are what they are in Schedule D. It's just an assessed value per DC assessment. This is what it is. So if it falls, then that's out of our control. Nothing to do with...
No, I understand that. I understand that. How we control the money that comes out is our tax rate. When I look at the tax rates on page 43, I don't see a multiplier of 30. I in fact see a multiplier of, I didn't do all the calculations, but it's going to be around 20. And my understanding is that the maximum multiplier for utilities is 30. In other words, to me, it doesn't look like we maxed out that tax.
Yeah, we did. That is the maximum. We put the maximum in the utilities.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Because obviously there's 3 different line items. So if I added up all of these tax rates and compared it to the residential, which is the base rate, it would be exactly 30.000 times more. I'm not going to do it now. As I say, this is only first and second reading, but I would like to understand that we are doing as council required on the rates. We have no support of. Okay, we'll finish off on the first one. So I had no further issues other than perhaps. Yeah, no, that's good. Okay, so anybody else?
Yes, I have a question with regards to Schedule A. So that's page 28. So actually, particularly under the small community grant. So I was looking at the correspondence that came in, and there was something dated April 14.
Yeah, that's good.
Regarding unconditional grant funding letter, to say that our grant has increased. So I don't know, is that the same grant that we're referring to?
It's 310,000
Yeah,
in
so the number
the letter.
It is, we just got that letter, and what I would recommend is, it also says we're getting a payment in advance of 2016. And so if you actually do the math, our grant next year will probably only be about 285. So I would recommend keeping the budget the same, and then we'll defer that portion of the grant to offset the lower amount next year to keep it steady at 295. Because the letter says that the 310 includes an advance on the 2016, and the 2016 will be about 80% lower, which will put us down to like 285. So it's smoothing.
But why would we just not put as we do know it? So they've confirmed that 216, if we know the number, actual number for 216, and we do know the actual number for 215, why don't we just put it in?
That's what I'm explaining. For the purposes of the budget, I only want to recognize 295. That would be my recommendation. So we wanted to make a change for the first and second reading, but I would still recommend not changing it because I only want to recognize for budget purposes 295, or else we'll have to pick up a shortfall next time.
Well, we can always decide, if we don't change our expenditure, then nothing changes, and then the rest goes into reserves. I wouldn't want to inaccurately reflect our revenue, knowingly inaccurately reflect
I'm
revenue.
thinking suddenly we have $15,000 extra, right?
Yeah, but Pam correctly says she wants that to go next year.
Yeah.
It's usually common practice to do that with used reserves because they go up and down over the 3-year period. And,
So what is municipal practice? To actually understate the revenue and keep in mind that you've done that? Or to,
or you can show a full amount and then show a transfer to reserve.
I think that's much more, it's more accurate representation of what's happening.
So I just got that and just had to be submitted on Friday, so it was too late to change.
Yeah. Does that work for you? If you do it that way? It seems to me that's a more representational, whatever. Okay. Yeah, good catch. That's it? Anybody else? Okay, so can I have a motion to, what is it, approve, accept?
Council passes
Pass
first
the bylaw,
and
yeah.
second reading as amended.
Do we have to do it twice or can we do it?
You can do both in one.
Okay, so can I have a motion to pass the first and second reading of the 2015-2019 5-year financial plan bylaw number 485 of 2015
As amended.
as amended? Are we going to do the amendments or does they come in the third reading?
Well, we've discussed what's changing, so that needs to be noted on the record, that the amendments were made.
So we'll see the number 3.
You'll see it in time.
We'll see
for
those
the
changes
third.
in number 3,
Yeah.
which is no changes to.
After we do 3, we can't do any more. So if it came back again at the next meeting, you wanted changes, we would have to put off third reading and make those changes.
Okay, now's the time to do it and before. Okay, so so the only other time that we have available to change is at the third reading. We can't change
Before we pass the third reading.
before we
Yeah.
pass the third reading.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so the motion's on the table. Any further discussion? So all in favour? Opposed? Seeing no opposed, that carries. And we'll move on to sewer user rates amendment 2015 bylaw number 486 of 2015. So let's discuss it informally first. Discussion. I had one or two things. We may as well start getting harmonizing the format. So I noticed in the first one we had a whereas. There's no whereas here. And I noticed, I know this is a little pedantic, but I want to actually make it look like we're sort of harmonizing this thing with a view to, in future, merging some. Can we say the Council of Village Lions Bay, comma, in open meeting assembled, comma, in access follows? Because that's how some of the others are.
Yeah.
So just to try and get some consistency there.
And municipalities are moving away from the whereas statements in general.
Okay,
so-
fine, I like that. So, did we have the whereas in the first one?
We did.
Yeah. So maybe for the third reading, we can get rid of the whereas and now therefore.
Yep.
Just to start harmonizing.
Yep. Do you want to make a motion to add that amendment?
Yeah, okay, so you heard the motion is to
Update the wording?
update the wording by amalgamating, further rephrasing the whereas and now therefore clauses into a more modern presentation. Is that good enough?
Yeah.
Okay, can I have a motion? Second, all in favour? Opposed? None? Carried? Okay, thanks Mandy, that's good. Why did I write this here? Oh, the citation, point 1, it's not strictly speaking the same name that's on the cover page.
Right, because this bylaw is an amendment to the original bylaw.
Yeah, and I
So-
see that in the citation, point 1, but that's not what it says on the front page.
No, because this is an amendment, so there, how to articulate it. This amendment, the only thing this amendment bylaw is doing is replacing the schedule of it's changing the schedule of the original sewer bylaw.
But
So
I
it
notice
should
in-
be worded this way.
Okay, again, I'll take your
You
word
have
for
to
it. but
reference the original bylaw that's being amended as well as the amendment bylaw.
I almost ripped these papers out, flipping back and forth to try and understand the thing, because other ones,
Or
the
do you
citation,
want the word sewer rate user amendment added in
I
there
just
as
want to be
well?
consistent with all the other ones so that we can start. You tell me.
But the 5-year financial plan bylaw is not an amendment bylaw.
Yeah, it's a new bylaw.
It wouldn't
that's-
have that. The second one should.
It would seem to
Yeah,
me
it
that
does. The next one does. Water parcel tax amendment does as well. They're all consistent.
they're consistent.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. And then the only other thing, Pam, is a question for you. Under Schedule A, sewer user rate, single-family residence, there's no other classes that we need to cite? Okay.
So actually, what has been amended, only the schedule, everything?
Right. Yeah.
So that was actually my
everything
question.
else in bylaw number 122 stays the same, except this schedule repeals the schedule that was in it for last year.
Do we actually need a bylaw every time?
Yes.
Yes.
So the sewer rate hasn't changed?
This year it's different than last year, yes?
It's the only thing that has changed.
It's the only
The
thing that has
number has
changed.
changed.
Oh,
The
okay.
bylaw is, it's just the schedule to the bylaw that changes, so that's why it's an amendment. And the rate has changed, so that's why we need a bylaw. We wouldn't need a
Oh, okay.
bylaw amendment, the rate stays.
We have a ratepayer sitting right there. He can tell us. Mr. Calvin Grove. Okay, so can I have a motion to pass sewer user rates amendment 2015 bylaw number 486 of 2015?
First and
Thanks.
second. First and second.
The first and second reading of? All in favour? Opposed? Seeing none, that carries. We'll move on to the sewer parcel tax amendment 2015. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, good. So this one doesn't have a schedule. Do we want to start harmonising
You
it?
need a schedule. The changes right there under number 2.
I know, but
Yeah.
why have a schedule in the other one then? That's how it's always been.
I believe because it's not listed in the original bylaw as a schedule. It's listed as a tax rate. So
Okay.
any change would be consistent with the
Yeah,
mother
sure.
bylaw, I
So
guess.
I would suggest that next year we start harmonising these things.
But what I'm saying is that we can't create a schedule for a bylaw where the original bylaw doesn't have a schedule to
I'm
replace.
saying no, to repeal that bylaw.
Yeah, so we'd have to redo the bylaw.
Seeing as we're doing it
itself.
anyway, we may as well just encapsulate it in the bylaw, rather than have a schedule.
So
Because,
I just mean it's a bigger, meatier bylaw, that's all. It's not-
well, it's a pretty short one, and it's got the same.
This is an amendment bylaw? This isn't the actual bylaw being amended?
Do you not need to see the old one?
Councillor Hughes.
No, because we're only changing the parcel rate.
Think about it.
Okay, so, can I have a motion? And this time you have to state the motion.
Then
Councillor McLaughlin.
put forward the motion to read for the first and second time bylaw number 487, sewer parcel tax amendment bylaw.
Very good, you did it better than I was waiting for you to get the first and second read. So, can I have a second? All in favour? Opposed? Seeing none, that carries. Tax rates bylaw. We'll move straight to discussion. Discussion? So I'll say again, the Council of Village Lions Bay, in open meeting assembled, just to start harmonising things. The minimum amount of taxation on a parcel of real property shall be $1. That's obviously not changed since '71. Don't we want to make it, does that apply to anyone, Pam? Is anyone paying less than, let's say, $500?
Requirement, you have to set a minimum.
So I'm suggesting, I mean, just to make it worth sending out the tax bill, it needs to be $250.
Minimum would be $1.
I know, but what about $250? Is anybody paying less than $250? What about $500?
I don't understand when you should be $1. I think it's just saying that we have a minimum, that if a charge is less than $1, we won't send in a bill. If you have a charge over $1, we will.
Oh, I see. That's what it means, is that if your tax turns out to be less than $1, you will not get a bill. Not that the minimum you shall pay will be $500. That's not what how
The
I read
minimum
that.
amount of taxation.
I'm just saying we're setting the minimum at $1.
Okay, so I'm suggesting let's set the minimum at $500 or some number, $350. Just to make it worthwhile sending the bill. But is that what it, so let me just understand. The minimum amount, you'll always get a bill for X, right now it's $1. Is there any benefit?
It's a requirement of the bylaw, and you set the minimum at $1, because there's no one in that, I don't think anyone that's going to pay $1 property tax.
Understood. How about 500?
I'm not sure we can do that, if it actually calculates that their property tax, for whatever reason, is less than $500.
Somebody wouldn't pay tax.
I would have a formula for calculating property tax. I think this is just a requirement of the bylaw to say the minimum is $1.
We have to set a minimum, yes.
Okay, so we're happy with the $1 as a minimum. It seems fairly pointless to have it in there, seeing as nobody pays it. But, okay, it's always been like that. Okay, so back to the rates that I gave a foreshadowing of. Can we get... No, that won't be necessary. I can do the analysis myself anyway. Because this is the first time I've seen the rates. Is it the first time anybody's seen the rates?
Any questions? I mean, before the third reading, we'll answer any questions.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
Kelly, I can sit down and explain the rates.
As you understand,
So we
I'm
have
trying to
restrictions
maximize.
in terms of categories, yeah. And we did maximize the ones as requested by Mayor and Council.
Okay, good. Although I still want to get my head around why CN is paying half the share of our revenue, and our revenue hasn't changed much than it was last year, when the idea was to actually increase the revenue from CN. So I would like to understand that, but that's not the point of this bylaw. So can I have a motion, please? Fred, your turn.
Well, by all means, I'd like to make a motion that we approve do the first and second readings of bylaw 488, tax rates of the 2015 bylaw.
Further discussion? All in favour? Opposed? Seeing none, that carries. This is fun. Moving on to the Water Parcel Tax Amendment 2015 Bylaw 489. One question of Pam, that 48488 number is the number that Council endorsed?
Yes.
Okay. This one's got the commas in the right place. That was a joke.
Oh, sorry. I'm scanning it myself.
Okay, so Jim, it's your turn for a motion.
I propose a motion that we okay, we pass the water parcel tax amendment bylaw number 489.
First and second reading.
First and second reading.
I am going to recommend one amendment before you pass that motion. The word bylaw is used inconsistently in this. There's one's hyphenated, one's not. So I'm going to take out the hyphenated one.
Good, well done. Do we have to say that? Or you can do it in the third
We
reading?
can put it in the, no, I can do it for after this one in time for the next one.
Okay, so
So
we
you're
haven't
going
passed the motion
to
yet.
pass first and second reading of the amended bylaw.
You've got to say it.
Okay. Can we, okay, so,
Can we just
All right.
take it as read?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
good.
that's good.
Okay.
So,
That's good. As amended.
yeah,
All in favour?
okay.
Yeah.
Opposed? Seeing none, that carries. That was that. Man, that was fun. Lucky we only did that once a year. Correspondence.
There's one thing in here that I would like to speak to. It will require a resolution.
Fine. I will just interject. I'll note the dates on these things. I have not seen any of these letters. They're addressed to me. The first one is dated the 31st of March.
Yeah,
So
and that's my fault. We talked about this in the last meeting, and I didn't
Okay,
I
so-
didn't remember to reiterate that to staff before I went on vacation. So that's my fault.
Not a problem. The only time it was a problem is that when I got a call from Daryl Masado,
Yes, and that's
Mayor
what I
of
was
North
going to
Van,
speak to today.
and he calls and says a whole bunch of stuff about econ. You know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to point you to this and this and that. if I'd had this letter, at least I would have had an understanding of what he's talking about. So in that case, it was A, embarrassing, and B, made Lions Bay like they didn't know what they were talking about. But
So, Mayor, on this, I'm happy not to see all the correspondence myself, because when I get the package, I don't think Mr. Masato is phoning me. So I'm happy with my weekend before the meeting to see the hard
understand,
copy.
it's somewhat of a judgment call. I would prefer not to see a lot of this stuff as well, but in this, I don't know what it
This
is.
you should have seen, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
because I think, I'm going to speculate for you and the CEO, I mean, you get one, you get them all.
I'm happy to go through them ahead of time, and I can always file them.
Okay.
Sometimes you don't know until you know, so yeah. Okay, so do you want to talk to this one, Mandy?
Sure,
Well, let's
so-
do it in order. So anybody want to talk about the David Suzuki thing? Helen, does that fit in with your understanding of the Blue Dot thing?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's-
Okay, Mandy?
So there's twofold to this econ piece. The first is that we're part of a designated group of members, so we share our vote with the other North Van municipalities. And for the last few years, Mayor Musato, who's from the city of North Van, has voted on our behalf. So if council wishes to go that way again, you just need to resolve it, and I'll send them a letter confirming that. Otherwise, ECOM encourages our three municipalities to get together and talk about who's going to take on that role.
Okay, so that was the discussion apparently that I must have had with Daryl,
Okay.
and I believe that he told me that I'm on tap for next year,
Okay, perfect.
and that he this year will be nominating Richard Bolton,
Rick Walton, yeah.
I believe, the mayor of the district of North Van.
Okay.
So
Yeah, there was an email in my inbox just as I was coming in here on this, but I haven't seen it yet, so
Okay,
that may very well be a copy of their letter.
So I believe it's all been handled.
We still have to
and
write a letter.
We still have to write a letter?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But I don't believe that, because I didn't really understand what was going on at the time we had the call, I
I'll
don't want to
send
make
you-
a resolution that's conflicting to the plan.
Basically, we're just supporting the designated group's decision to
Oh, okay, that's good.
vote. That we support that we're part of a group and you're okay with them voting on our behalf. There's
Fine.
only one vote between I guess it's 4 municipalities because it's West Van as well, I think.
I'm seeing here, it's the City of North Van, District of North Van, District of West Van, and West Van
us,
Police.
Yeah, so we share one vote.
So my question is that they said it's for police services. We don't use them for police services. Is that something wrong with their record, or is it just a...
So the West Vancouver Police Board, because they're a municipal board, will also have a vote.
Yeah, but it
Because
says
they
there,
are
our
part of-
records indicate the following shares for police services are held by the group to which you belong.
Yeah, so we're all conglomerated into a group. It's not that there are police service, it's that by virtue of our region, we're all
So this is
part
not...
of one vote. We're one melting
I'm
pot.
more wondering, should this say fire? Because that's what we use them for.
That's an econ, I can't answer that. They're just looking to know if who we're gonna endorse for the vote.
It's a governance
so,
thing, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
So that's the first thing. The other thing, and you'll notice on page 2, we also need to nominate a director to vote our shares at the AGM. I believe last year you went. So that's a different thing altogether.
Do we want to do that now?
You can pick someone now, and then when I get the AGM package, it usually comes in May, I can forward it on to whoever's interested in attending. I don't know if you have anything to add about what went on there last year, or...
Yeah, well, the two pieces was that when the directors get together, it's a lot more efficient having, say, Daryl Misato in the past because he's got an ambulance background. And e-com is all about communication. So it's not anything more than for us the dispatching, and we run, or not the dispatching, we run on their radio system. So we have a vote in the system. I think going to the AGM is helpful. The votes and everything are pretty straightforward. If anything, it's a great educational piece, and I would recommend if you were willing, you should attend it and find out more about econ. I got a whole tour of the whole place when I went last year, and you may enjoy it. Find out.
I'd be happy to go, but if somebody else wants to go, I would very much like to go.
Yeah, I'd happily step aside if you want to go.
But anybody else? I mean, I think it would be fun. It can be interesting. So speak now, because now's the time to speak, if you'd like to do it. Okay. Okay, so Manu, the first motion is?
We're going to, well, if that's what council wants to do, is support the recommendation that along with the other municipalities. I
What
have
is
to find out
what is
who that
Masada? He's the representative. He's not the chair. He represents us.
He's the director's designate, yeah.
Okay, so we resolve to.
Well, you said that, see, this is the first I've seen of this when I opened my package yesterday
Yeah,
and
me
had
too.
to refresh what happened last year. But I wasn't aware that you had spoken to Mayor Musado and that there might be a change, so.
You see,
what we could
at the
do
time, I
is-
didn't know what he was talking about. Can we table this to next one?
No,
Is there a
because they
deadline?
need the resolution, the AGM is in May, they want to get the resolution before May.
Yeah.
So perhaps the resolution that we make is that we endorse the designate director in line with what our co-organizations are doing?
Yes.
Is that
Good.
fair?
Yes. Yeah. Because if I understood him correctly, he said he was going to nominate Richard to do the next, to be the representative, and then the second one. Okay, so let's do that one first. So the motion is to.
Endorse the Ecom Board
Endorse.
of Directors designate in line with our fellow municipalities.
The
That vote our
designation
shares,
choice, yes,
yeah.
good. Okay, so I'll make that motion. Second. All in favour? And opposed? Seeing none, that carries. And then the second one is to appoint me as our representative to vote our shares at the AGM. So I'll make that motion. Can I have a second? Opposed? All in favour? Opposed? Seeing none, that carries. Okay, good. Thanks. Carrying on. Anything else? The Wastewater Association, that's interesting. April 7th is the date. Okay, but now I understand why, so I don't need to. That's something that the IC might find that interesting, actually, Fred.
Oh, sorry.
The BC Water and Waste Association.
Page 62.
You know, that Tony Greville is the big cheese there. So there's a report to be had, and we should look it up. But I'm sure Tony probably wrote the things. Okay, so we'll move on. The only question I had here, Mandy, was the traffic fine revenue sharing. Why do we get nothing? My understanding was that was how we shared in the traffic fine revenue. Then I did ask somebody. Oh, it was Neil Cross at the big regional thing where the big RCM, the commissioner came and talked, and he said he would look into it, and he thought that the way that traffic fine revenue sharing worked was something to do with it was only if you had your own police force.
And I think that's correct. It's municipal policing, but I will
Can we check? Because
find out
you know,
for you.
I'd like to get something from these people who are whizzing through our village at 110.
Yeah.
I think during the safety presentation, he did say that we had a share, but it wasn't dependent on the number of tickets written.
No, it's got something to do, I thought it had
That's what it
something
was.
to do with
You
how
shared it
you're-
evenly.
That's right, with the
All of
region.
BC, or maybe the region.
Yeah, I'll find out for sure. I can just call Brian Cumming and ask him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'd always thought that we were not getting it, proved correct, and I was wondering, should we not be getting it? Maybe we're not. Okay, anything else? This letter from,
Mystery resident.
They asked for their name to be vetted.
oh, did they?
Yes.
I did respond to it, because I got the email direct, to the tune that I reassured them that the public funds are not being used for the 55 plus club. And I believe that's it for correspondence.
It is.
New business, agenda protocol. Ron, that's yours.
Thank you, Member. I like your terminology about harmonizing. My recommendation for brief discussion and I guess agreement, I don't know, we have to go to motion, is on the agenda format, again on the harmonization. I think three points. One, respect for the protocol in that the agenda items are in Thursday, 4 o'clock to give staff time to do it. The second piece, like this is a bit of different carryover from the past council, was there's an agenda email address that would be the receptacle for the agenda items to go in. So it seems to me that, so that the council members and the executive of the staff know what's going on at the same time. So my proposal would be that the agenda item, let's say Flower Pot Day, for example, would go in by Councillor Watterson into the agenda, CC to council, and maybe she may have some other stuff, and then it's one and done. I understand that the staff can access it, and there we go, and everybody knows what everybody else is doing or thinking about.
So let me just understand, what you're saying is, where does the agenda at lionsbay.ca go? Only to Shauna?
Goes to
Both of
Sean.
us. Both of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but,
Yeah.
okay.
So you know what's going on. I think I fully expect and appreciate, and like what the two, the mayor and the CAO do, is that those agenda items don't necessarily have to go on, I suppose, because for me, I'm quite prepared to have, if it's consensus between the two of you, it's veto, or in your other meetings you have late additions, and that's fine, but that's kind of off what the rest of us are thinking throughout the week.
Fine, so you want to, when agenda items come up, you want to know about them by being copied to council?
Yep, just a copy. I mean, for me, I write my agenda items in bullet point, probably 4 words tops.
I'm all for that,
And
yeah.
I think there's merit to centralizing where they're all going. Then nothing ever gets missed on the agenda. Sometimes things go straight to Shauna and I'm not aware, so I'm working on the agenda and if they all go to the agenda email, they're all there.
Okay, so the proposition is that any agenda item is sent to agenda at Lions Bay and to council at Lions Bay. So then everybody who needs to see it gets to see it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Fine. I just point out that the procedures bylaw.
It's in there.
What is?
The agenda at lionsbay.ca email.
Oh no, the deadline for the package is on. It says Thursday in the new draft.
But the new draft isn't active yet.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
you're okay with that?
Yeah, well, that's fine. Yeah, no. I
You
think
sure?
it says new, because the rationale being Wednesday we're closed. So if somebody had something physical to drop off, they couldn't do that.
Okay. So that's as discussed. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so is that a resolution? Just or a process?
I think it's
I think we're
information.
in general agreement of that. I don't know about the resolution.
We don't
Fred?
need one.
Can I ask a question first? Are we talking just about the strategy meetings and the regular meetings?
I would do both myself.
But how about committee meetings? We're not using the agenda format for that, are we?
You know what, that might be the easiest way, because and I've noticed it with the infrastructure committee, things will go round and round and round, but Shauna's not on that thread.
Right.
And so things get missed, or she's not aware when she's compiling the stuff. I think there's merit to anything to do with a council or committee meeting going to that agenda inbox.
But did we not say that committees were going to be handled by the committee themselves to reduce workload?
We did, but I believe Shauna's still formatting the agendas and putting the packages together.
Well,
You're not
that's
compiling
great.
your minutes and stuff, I would think. The most time-consuming thing for meetings is really attending and doing the minutes after.
Is it?
It's not really a big deal to, particularly if you send us a list of agenda items, to plunk those into our template. It's really not that cumbersome.
Yeah, I mean, I actually remember seeing it in the minutes of the previous meeting, and I'll just remind you what we said.
I remember it was that we wanted to limit how much staff
Yeah,
was
so
doing,
the
and that the
councils-
chairs were really in charge of
The
all
committees
that.
were responsible for their own paperwork.
Right.
I'm happy either way. I'm very loath to burden staff with specialized stuff.
And I think the key word for us is assist.
In
Not
my
compile.
harmonization, I was thinking of just the senior
The
council.
two main meetings, yeah.
The strategy and the other one, the different committees, and some are small and one-off, kind of meeting semi-annually or annually. Other ones like IC are, may go into long periods of high activity. There could be a lot of stuff, and,
I suggest we leave that up to the individual chairs. They
the
decide how they want to
chair
handle it.
decides.
Yeah, if the chair wants the stuff to go through and be formatted according to the template. Is that okay? Will that work?
That should be fine. If we
Okay.
find it's getting too cumbersome, we can revisit
Yeah,
it again,
exactly.
but, we're here to assist.
Where is this process outlined? I mean, we're talking about a process that's in place, or
Yeah.
through sending an email in and requesting it goes to certain people, and it gets, so where is that record? Like, where does that become a procedure? Is that in the bylaw?
Right now.
Right
It does say that in the draft procedure bylaw.
Yeah, no,
So-
but I'm just saying to
Right now
expand
it's-
that to to committees, how does that affect the bylaw itself?
I don't think it would because the bylaw applies to formal committees as well.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
then-
so whatever is in that procedure bylaw applies to council
So we
and
don't
the
need to do
committees.
anything to have that apply? Okay, that's my question. Okay.
Okay, good. We'll move. That's good. Thanks, Ron. So everybody's got that? Makes sense?
Just, actually, it just comes up as agenda to me. Well, it won't to everybody else who hasn't done it. It's agenda.
Agenda at lionsbay.ca.
Okay, good. So we'll move on to Flower Pot Day. Helen?
Was there a resolution, or I'm not sure what we're supposed to do with that?
No, you were just going to discuss it.
Oh,
We talked about that we didn't need a resolution, but we would bring it forward for information.
So if we
okay, I
have an
think Jerry,
agenda item to put in,
Yeah. I
You want an
think when-
endorsement or?
Yeah. Did we say we would endorse it? I'm not sure. whether
No, I don't think we
don't
did.
need to.
Doesn't need an endorsement, but we can put it in the e-post and add the flyer to the e-post this week.
I think
So,
it's a given, and the mayor's going to write about it.
yeah.
I'm not going to leave a flower pot at the bottom of my driveway all year, though.
So I forward you the flyer.
Okay,
We can
great.
make it a little bit.
Thank
Make
you.
some amendments to it.
Perfect.
So, yeah, if we can just convey out to the residents that May 1st will be Flower Pot Day,
Okay.
and encourage everyone to put a flower pot at the end of
Are
their
you going
drive.
to go for the nominal reward for the best flower pot in the village?
Oh, there's money involved? That puts a different complexion on things.
Let me offer beer.
Maybe we could have a
Let me offer
competition.
beer and pizza.
At Carl's
same-
house.
Who's paying for
At
that?
Carl's house.
I'll recycle that IOU.
it's not a bad idea. you
We
know,
should have a
competition.
competition.
I'd like to see this IOU, because I am not sure of the details.
I'm sure there's a recording somewhere.
Oops.
Just
Okay,
have
so we'll move
capital
on.
this.
C, Fire Department. Helen?
Okay, well, as a very quick summary of what I think has transpired, I believe that this all started with the fire chief asking for an increase of weekend shift hours from currently 4 to 8 hours, which was not approved by council. Then he came back at the finance committee meeting to plead his case again, and then I'm not quite sure what's happened, what we were supposed to do there. But then subsequent to that, I was CC'd an email where he said that as of next weekend, all on-call shifts will be canceled. So I'm just thinking that we should address this, discuss it, talk about it.
Yeah, this is a big topic. I believe we've all seen that email.
I haven't yet, but I still have
I
about
yeah, I
200
think- I'm
CC
pretty sure
emails
you'll
that I
probably
haven't been through yet.
And I'll look it up now just so you can have a squiz. But so I did call Andrew about this to discuss. There's wheels within wheels here, obviously. So the budget request was originally 25. It was adjusted to 34 based on a more realistic model. I think we must always understand that this is not shift pay. This is a standby fee. This is our firefighters are paid a call-out fee. Andrew happened to make them do a 4-hour truck check on the weekend, Sunday morning, very unprepossessing time to go and check a truck. And that was sort of where he came up with the 4 hours. He's now looking for a doubled fee. I don't want to call it hours anymore because it's not hours, it's a standby fee. It's currently averages $80 per weekend per member who's on standby, and a member is on standby once a month, every 4 weeks. And that is the cost of being on standby is you must be within the village and you can't drink. Okay, so that's fairly onerous duty, but it's currently done. Andrew's proposition was to double that fee to $160, irrespective of whether it's a long weekend or an ordinary weekend. I talked to him about this at length. I told him that it represents a 3% tax increase or a draw on his savings, more than council would feel comfortable with doing. And we started talking about what non-monetary things can be done. For example, not doing the truck check on the weekend, doing it some other time for free, we don't pay our guys to train. We don't pay them to check the truck on a Thursday or a Tuesday, or whatever the day is. I asked him to come up with some non-monetary equivalents to give people the understanding that this is, we recognize the onus that's been placed on them. They are volunteers. Part of being a volunteer in Lions Bay is you must dedicate a weekend, for which you get paid a very nominal fee, $80 on average. I try to get a sense of why it is that if this fee is not doubled arbitrarily, all of a sudden the guys will no longer come in. And the answer is that Andrew will not make them come in. The guys, the members, are not balking at what they consider to be the part of the duty of being a Lions Bay firefighter. Andrew and I spent a lot of time talking about how Brunswick does it, how Bowen does it. Everybody is quite different. So Bowen's call-out fee, for example, goes into a pot, and then people draw what they're allowed, what they've earned, as a lump sum to go on vacation or whatever. We do things differently. There is no intrinsic call to pay people to be on standby. We do pay our public works guys handsomely.
But that's under the collective agreement.
Exactly. So I mean, it's a more formal thing. I certainly don't want us to be seen to be taking advantage of people, but they are volunteer firefighters. So I'd be interested to hear, especially from Fred, who's done this for a career, how do you ensure that we do have people available on call, on the weekend, ready to go? I will also point out that, especially in the summer, but even in the winter, there's an average of 2 call-outs a weekend. So they do go, they get their fee, the call-out fee, and it's, some people have a really poor situation. I think it's Bowen, correct me if I'm wrong, gets paid $20 for up to 3 hours. And if it goes over 3 hours, then they get paid $60 for the first 3 hours plus the next hours. So, getting called out on Bowen is not a remunerative proposition at all if it's under 3 hours. We pay our guys an average of, I think it's 18 an hour.
If I'm just backtrack to Bowen, but they get paid $3,600 a year for medical and all those business.
Okay, and
we
I'm
pay
glad.
$20, not 18. It's actually 20.
Okay, so I'm glad I asked you about that. So that was another potential that I was we'll talk about it in more detail later.
Okay.
The medical plan. What would it cost us to add our guys to our plan?
Would the younger volunteer care, because when they leave, they won't, that's this medical plan won't really be.
When they leave, but they're covered while they're here.
If I could say something else, I think for Bowen that's applicable because people live on Bowen, they live on Bowen long term. So those guys, from what I understand, just turn up and they respond, or if they don't, they still get paid their medical. So
And they get paid to train as well, correct?
Pardon?
They get paid to train.
There's very little training going on, and they train with us as well. But they get trained by us.
They do get paid when they train with us.
Yes, correct. As battalion do as well. I think the point is how you get 22 to 30-year-olds who've got girlfriends and flats in and apartments in North Van to live in Lions Bay full time, because that's the directive. They have to live here in the evenings, and they have to stay here for their shift weekends, as you say, from Friday night to Monday morning, or long weekends from Thursday night to Tuesday, including Christmas and Easter. So how do you get youngsters to do that when they don't want to be here at all? We've bought into this lifestyle. They haven't. Make no mistake. And to say there's no disharmony in the department, that's not true.
Sorry, I missed that part. To say what?
There's no disharmony in the department about having to be here and being taken advantage of. That's not true at all.
Okay,
I'm
well,
not talking about homeowners, I'm talking about the youngsters.
okay. So, I believe that this is a bigger discussion that we're going to solve around the table tonight. We have 8 resident volunteer firefighters, correct? Approximately.
Approximately.
And 22 total.
26 total with 4 more in the pipeline.
Okay, so the rest are I don't want to call them homeowners because there's plenty of people who will rent here for forever. let's call them non-long-term residents.
We've got 20 people who are non-residents.
So,
I have a question. When they're coming on board, like you said, is there 4 coming through the process? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Right now? Do they know up front what the expectation is?
Absolutely.
Beyond?
Absolutely.
Okay.
They know from the chief has an initial interview with them and explains how bad it is, and he doesn't hold back and he doesn't sugarcoat stuff, as everyone knows. So he paints it. You need to be here. You need to da 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 da, and they're okay for the first 6-12 months. But it's after that period and they start getting a bit disciplined. So the trick is, and then they go to Canada, then they do the forum on Thursday, then they do the bonfire, that all free of charge. They don't get paid for that, they're volunteers. Do those 22-year-olds want to be doing that for this village? Or do they do it because Chief tells them they have to?
it's part of getting the Lions Bay
It is.
banner so
It
that they
is.
can be paid firefighters.
But then you have to look at what they actually do over and above the call of duty, in my opinion. I'm a resident homeowner, so it's different.
There's 2 classes of volunteer firefighter.
Correct.
There are those who are doing it simply to get the stamp of Lions Bay so that they can go and walk into many fire
And it's
departments.
quid pro quo, because the chief's recommendation goes a long way with the fire department, and these guys know that. So it is quid pro quo. They do get something in return, but there's a balance in terms of where that sort of resonates.
Okay, so that talks to the way that the chief has run the department up to now. Now, I hesitate to call it a threat, but it is a threat, is that he will no longer insist that our guys go on standby on the weekend.
Isn't that more than a threat?
I don't think
He
it's a
says it's
threat.
cancelled.
Am I missing something here? Because in any organization or a business, okay, when a part of management wants to increase spending, they do so with some sort of a business case. So have we had that put forward by Andrew in this case?
Did a business case come
All
forward?
I saw was an email. I didn't see anything, So what I'm saying is that to me would mean that Andrew should come and talk to council,
Well, he did.
put together
And
a
essentially said he
business
wants to
case.
double the standby fee. That's the business case.
My understanding is, and I'm not talking for Andrew, but this is my interpretation of what happened, he put forward a paragraph. And that's his business case. Now, defined business case, but I understand what everyone's going to say, which is fine. My point on that would be, and this is my point, not his point, if the business case wasn't sufficient or didn't have enough detail or data, he should have been told.
He was told.
Well, I don't know that. I'm just saying, in my opinion, he should have been told, and exactly what was required, and then come back with more. Now, Maggie said he was told. I'm not a party to that.
I don't think anyone.
So,
I think we all understand what the request was. We know what the number was. We know what it was for. It was denied. That's not the issue. Council decided, based on its available resources, the information was adequate. We knew what we were deciding. We decided not to spend $34,000 for that this year. The ante has now been upped to say, okay, no standby firefighters. That's not cool. Because we've always had them before. They've always, they weren't satisfied with the number. They're volunteers. There's an expectation. It was given to them. The expectation has now been reduced significantly. There's no more weekend shift. This is no longer a budget issue. There are ways to solve this problem non-monetarily. Sorry, I'll keep.
No, my question, I've heard 2 terms of term. I'm still confused about where the guys stand. What I've heard is that the weekend shift is canceled, but then I've also heard that Andrew won't force people to come out. And so, Simon, maybe you can tell me how that correlates. Does that mean they won't because he's not requiring them to? Are there people who would, or I'm a little confused.
So the guys at the moment are required to be here, and there's no ifs and buts about that.
Right.
If they cannot be because they have to be in Hawaii or whatever, then they have to get someone who will cover them, and that has to be an email to both shift heads, so there's no ambiguity who's covering who.
Okay.
And they have to be like for like, so drivers have to cover drivers, etc. Officers have to cover officers.
Right.
So there's always a standard of shift. So my understanding is now that shifts have been disbanded, which means those guys may be in the village, and they will respond. I'm going to respond. I always respond. I'm on 96% of all the calls. So I'm going to respond. But I don't really relish the thought of having that knot in my stomach, going around that bend, seeing the gallows door closed,
Right.
and thinking, holy cow, I'm the only person on this call, and then someone else comes to us, because that's not enough.
Right, so the issue is that we may have response, but we just don't know.
Oh, no,
We
we
can't
will.
plan for it, right?
We will have to.
We may not have
However,
adequate
weekends,
response.
I hasten to add, weekends are the way everyone wants to go back to North Land,
Right, yeah.
It's when everyone's on the island, everyone's boating during the day, everyone's doing whatever during the day, and weekends are when the calls happen. For some reason, 9 to 5 on a Monday to Thursday, nothing happens. Friday through Sunday, it all happens, whether it's medicals in the village, whether it's, I don't know why it's the heart attacks and strokes, I'm not sure why, whether it's the MBAs, it's always between Friday lunchtime and Monday morning.
Yeah, we definitely need multiple crews available on the weekend.
Oh, and he's
And
not telling people they can't respond.
No, clearly.
Don't get me wrong, he's
But-
just not, he's now saying, guys, okay, we've asked, it's not being done, so therefore, you guys decide what you want to do.
Yeah, and clearly we needed to mandate it because otherwise we didn't have adequate coverage.
And this has been for 10 years now, apparently, on the same 4-hour coverage. Right. So it's not as if it's being incrementally, annually increased.
Yeah, I don't want to call it 4-hour rate anymore. It's a fee. It's a standby fee. It's an $80 average fee to give up your weekend.
But the guys do work for those 4 hours on a Sunday.
Agreed at the moment.
It's at the moment.
So will that continue? So what's going to
Yes,
happen with the
truck checks
current
are illegal
4-hour
operations.
stuff?
The truck checks have to be done.
Okay,
Otherwise, after a call, you're meant to check the trucks, otherwise you're not meant to take it back out.
okay,
So that's a legal obligation.
okay.
On top of that, they'll add on a couple of hours training, an hour and a half training, etc., just to fulfill that 4 hour.
So the Sunday morning will always have coverage.
So, yes, between 9 and 1, there'll be coverage, sure. But the time, I think in 3.5, 4 years, I've been on one call on my truck check. So that doesn't happen.
Well,
So-
excuse me,
I'm sorry.
if I understand, if they're not showing up, they're not coming up for Sunday morning truck checks. The procedure is you check the truck over after the call. So the truck is checked for the next call. It's not that they're coming in on a Sunday to do it anymore.
No, they come in from 9 to 1, regardless.
But-
Presently.
Presently, that they're saying they don't have to come in, that's what they're not coming in for.
It was
Is
part of
that
the-
the case? So do you check the truck after every call as well?
No.
No. So only
No.
once a
Only
week?
West Land and North, any departments do that.
No, after the call. You're not checking them after the call?
No,
What about air brake checks?
not after calls.
Sunday morning.
So you could go to a call Thursday night, you come back, everybody puts their gear away, and you get a call Monday morning, and those brakes have not been checked from the last call to the next
To my
one.
knowledge.
No, on Sunday they're checked.
They're-
On Sunday.
Okay, but what if that
No,
were
no, no,
Tuesday to
no,
Thursday?
What Fred's saying is after every single call, isn't the truck being checked?
And the
And
answer
to
is
my
no.
knowledge,
No, that was my understanding from Andrew as well. We check the trucks.
That's mandated by the Motor Vehicle Act. They can't get away with that. They've got to check them after every truck.
If that gets brought in, then good luck with that one.
Well, it's not our call.
Mandated.
Well,
We'll have to find that out.
Okay, well that's
Yeah,
a different
check
topic.
on that one.
The question is, how are we going to get? We've got a chicken and egg situation here. We don't have the budget. The finance committee has not recommended it. Council has not recommended it, knowing full well what was involved. The stakes have been raised.
I'm not sure when we said no, we knew full well,
I did. I knew that what was required was to up the standby fee.
and that if we said no, there would be no,
No,
That he would
that was
cancel
not
shifts.
that was not in the business case.
yeah, so that part I don't think we were aware of.
Yeah, but that's subsequent.
Yeah.
That's I don't want to say it's throwing the toys out of the
Yeah.
pram, but it's
So I'm just saying, when we made our original decision, I don't think that was part of, I don't recall that being.
no, of course not.
Yeah.
It was not even mooted. frankly, I find that it's completely irresponsible. You can't do that. You can't.
The other thing, if I can just weigh in on this one, is Simon says it's the young guys complaining and not happy about it. The residents are okay, I suppose. I'm not
They're here
sure.
anyway.
No.
But
No, I think there's a whole bunch of residents, and the homeowners tend to be in their late 40s, 50s,
Mhm.
and I think a number of them are getting tired
Mhm.
of the department and what they see as some of the BS that goes on within the village. This is subjective,
Mhm.
not casting any accusations. And I think a number of them are ready to quit anyway, and it's all about the straw that brings the camel's back. So it's all culminating. The young guys, the older guys, etc., are all becoming very frustrated to the point where they say, you know what, we don't need this anymore. We're doing it free of charge. And
Okay.
that's it.
To that point, on just about every department, you'll find the guys, when they hit their 50s, are getting tired and they're getting worn out. There's nothing new about that. Now, the part that concerns me is the young guys coming on. If they put up with it for 6 months and they decide they've had enough, well, good luck on your career, I would say to them, because it just gets tougher from here. If they cannot stand to put in a weekend a month to fulfill their obligations, then they don't have the tenacity to make the department wherever they go. And I would add to that, and it's been this way for years, when a guy wants to become, or yeah, pardon me, wants to join a fire department, there is so much competition to get in right now. You would jump through flaming windows to get in if you could get in. And they will go to extreme lengths. When West Van hired new guys, one of the things they would do is sort of the break-in thing during their, what do you call it, during the tryouts to get into there. They do the cable walks on Lionsgate Bridge. You know, cables go up to the top.
Oh.
They have all full gear on, they latch in and everything. And these guys will willingly do it. They will do whatever they have to do to get onto that job.
yeah, but here's the issue, Fred. Andrew is no longer requiring them to do it.
He had at the point. Now,
Yeah, but that's not he now. It's no longer a requirement to be at Lions Bay Fire to commit a weekend a month.
But the big kicker to this, though, we've still got the card in the back pocket, is how good of a reputation do these young guys want? If they
Well,
turn
the
out
chief
to
is
be
not going to give them
no-shows-
any black marks for not coming in because it's not required to come in.
Well, if nobody is going to be hanging around, all these guys are all going to go off to their girlfriends in North Van, if I can use that expression, and not have any sense of service or commitment to the community they're working in. If I was the chief, I wouldn't be thinking of giving them a great recommendation.
But here's the point. The chief is not requiring them to do it. The chief says, you're off the hook. Take off.
And
It's
he's-
the chief saying it.
And he's requiring them to live here in the evenings. So he's not saying just come to Lions Bay once every 2 weeks. They are required to live here.
Yeah.
So as far as he's concerned, there's the commitment to live here, away from their families and their friends and their girlfriends, to live in Lions Bay. There's the commitment. I just don't require you to.
Is that 7 days a week?
7 days a week. He's lenient on one night, but they have to ask specific permission by email, and he has to authorise it for them to shoot off on a Thursday night. So, for example, on the next one tomorrow night, he will read out a list of, okay, so we had a call on Monday, why did only 5 people show up? And he will then go to the room and find out specifically why people didn't show up to that call. My page didn't go off, my so-and-so, there's a whole plethora of excuses.
And is it the first X number of correctly qualified people to show up that go? Or is there a shift that's supposed to show up?
No, during the week, it's basically the people who show up, then the truck rolls. If it's a big call, two trucks roll. And then normally the junior guys get bumped if there's a full truck. But at 2 in the morning, I can assure you it's never a full truck. Because people just say I didn't hear the page. You know, I've heard all these.
We've all heard that one in all industries. Yeah, so the issue is, you're right, but right now, the chief is not going to give them a black mark.
So we won't go against them, so there's no
They have no incentive to do
incentive
it.
to stay.
There's no requirement anymore. So,
That's the point. If he thinks they've got integrity, they've got work ethic, they're good technically, they live in Lions Bay, he ticks all these boxes, he's not asking them to do the shifts. So therefore, there's no black mark there, because that's his decision, not theirs. He gives them the same recommendation he would always.
Okay, so what's the end game here then? If the chief is not requiring them to go any further, is this a negotiating point when we're past the negotiations? I don't see the value
Yeah.
in this.
The chief is saying unless he can give his guys $34,000 a year, he's not going to require them to.
But we're not doing it, so this is kind of a pointless act. I don't see the value in withdrawing that service when we've already made the decision.
I think we're talking across purposes.
Well, no.
No, we've set the budget. We're not coming up with another 25 to 33,000, whatever that number is. We can't increase the taxes on the taxpayers anymore. We've come to the limit, well, we could, but we've come to the limit of what we think is tolerable. So we have made a decision around this table, and the fire department doesn't like it because they wanted to double their standby fee. Well, I'm sorry, but we've had a tough decision to make on this thing, and we've come to our conclusion. Now there's a withdrawal of service in a sense.
Yeah, correct.
So we're beyond negotiating, so what's the point? We have said the new budget season starts in 6 months. We can go back to the same issue again. We can talk about it. We can do the research and find if there's a way or means that we can be accommodating. So we're not saying an absolute no. We are just saying not this year.
Yeah.
We're not
So
voting
the
on it.
question is, are we okay with having no weekend service until then?
Well, we're not going to have no weekend service.
No
Because there will
standby.
be some coming up. And I know all about that. Andrew even addressed that in the financial meeting. He and I and one other member ended up with a fatality MVA up the highway, and the highway was closed for three hours. I happened to have the flu that time, so I wasn't having a good time. I know what it's like. But, I mean, you sign on to provide a service, and you do your best to provide that service. This isn't watching the corner store.
So are you saying it's okay to have no mandatory standby shift for the
I'm
weekend?
happy with it, but if that's the way they want to do it.
Yeah, we can live with it
I think
until
we're
the
gonna
next
have
budget
to.
cycle.
We've made our decision. I mean, I'm sorry to see they made that decision.
I don't think anybody here realized the consequence was a withdrawal of service on the weekend.
Yeah, I would rather they continued on the way they were going.
So would I. I'd like for them to sweep the streets too, but they're not going to do that.
No. Well, I know it's said in jest, but no, to that point though, the one thing I strongly agree with Andrew on is that for a long time now, they have been looked at as a cheap source of labor. There was even times where past members at this table would actually call up the chief and ask for members of the fire department to serve at their parties and stuff, and I thought, this is just intolerable. Somewhere, they've got to be shown the respect for the career that they're embarking on, and they have to be given the dignity of not being treated like cheap labor. If they don't want to do the fireworks thing, fine. Do they not want to do Canada Day parade things? Well, not parade, but ceremonies. Well, okay, but be disappointing if they didn't.
Well, that'll get them a black mark, as they know very well.
Yeah.
There's no longer a shift requirement for the weekend. But I'm hearing you say that we can live with that until this time next year.
Well,
the budget
we
gets
have to. It's not that I want to.
No.
I'm disappointed in the chief's decision, quite frankly.
I'm just wondering, technically speaking, from 2014 to 2015 until now, what has changed?
Well, so exactly. So the point is,
Yeah.
nothing structurally has changed,
Yeah.
except Andrew's desire to double the the standby fee. We said no. He said, okay, I'm not going to require them to do it anymore.
So then the fire department loses the call-out fee and the call-out.
It basically gets it.
Yeah,
In fact, that's a very good point. We get $34,000 back.
yeah. So the point is, we're not going to pay the call-out fee.
The
Period.
standby fee.
The standby fee.
Yeah, the call-out fees will always.
Yeah.
No,
No, standby
I
fee.
think from what my understanding is they're still doing the truck checks Sunday for 4
Okay.
hours, so we
That's
still
right.
have to pay.
We still have to pay that. So
So we're not,
they're getting paid. They don't get paid to train, but they do get paid to check the
So
truck.
to Fred's point earlier, and this is something that I was thinking about as well, is that why are they not doing the truck checks as they're mandated? Not just.
That's a
on
different
Sunday?
discussion. Let's not get distracted. What I'm concerned about is the fact that we right now have no organized coverage on the weekend. I'm hearing from Fred that obviously we don't like it. We had it before. We'll live with it now. I'm hoping that Andrew can be persuaded to come up with a non-monetary way, and I just started the discussion, things, as I say, like changing the chuck, that word, to a different day. So that the weekends are not, you're not going down the fire hole for 4 hours on a Sunday.
So maybe pay them the 4 hours for shift work, but they don't have to do the truck check.
Yeah. So there's no
They're
monetary
still in
impact.
the village and still on call.
Yeah, they still have to be.
And yet they don't physically have to.
They don't go down. So
And
that's
then
just
there's
one
a-
idea. That's the only idea I could come
I
up.
haven't thought this one through, obviously, it's the first I've heard of it, but how are you going to do that in the winter when it's dark? Because the trucks need to be rolled out, they need to be, unless you have all kinds of scene lighting, etc., on Tuesday evening, or Monday evening, or whichever evening you're proposing, that doesn't really work. We have to point out, you just can't do that.
Well, I mean, pouring down with rain could be raining on Sunday as well.
Yeah, sure.
But you need
But
daylight to
you
do
put
it.
the trucks in the hub, but anyway, I mean, that's a discussion that you have. I think that Andrew came to the finance committee on Thursday a little bit too late, but he felt that he hadn't, and again, Matt, I'm sure that you've been a part of the conversations, that he didn't get the option to speak to council, and I've been saying to him he should have come to council long ago, but he didn't do. So it was a little too late, and I think he understands that. But I think he laid out his story on Thursday. I think he sent an email to Fred and others explaining exactly how he felt in so many words.
Yeah, I mean, he's standing up for his guys. I think we all
And now he's
understand.
saying, right, I tried to give, and he didn't give enough notice. I believe that.
Yeah, I mean, actually, the fact that we didn't approve the thing is actually shouldn't result in a reduction of service. I take the point that the fee hasn't increased for a long time. I take all of that. We don't have the money. There is actually no savings to be had by withdrawing service. This is petulance. Okay, I can understand it.
But he never got to council. It didn't get recommended by staff to council.
It didn't, but Andrew did attend the Committee of the Whole and spoke for quite a long time in March, and he presented that as part of the business case that he was asked to come back and provide numbers for, because the first version didn't have any numbers. So Andrew was given the opportunity to redo his business case that wasn't as full as it should have been the first time around. Andrew was given the opportunity to address council for over an hour, as I recall it. Council knew exactly what was being asked for.
Yes,
Perhaps they didn't know the ramifications of saying no. I don't think it was ever articulated that if you don't do this, then we'll do this. I don't think it was
Yeah,
ever
but those
presented
two
that
don't
way.
follow. That's the.
No.
I don't think that was the plan at the time.
No.
I don't think he's ever thinking.
No,
And I
but
suspect you're right. I don't think Andrew,
This is not.
I don't think it was malicious, but Andrew did have ample opportunity and many dialogues with staff about what the expectation was.
Then I say anyway.
Okay, well, we're not going to solve it now. Leave it with me. This is now beyond a sort of a fire department thing. This is coming up with something I will call for help as I need it. It's serious. I believe that the village does need a mandatory standby shift. We will have to do it. We are not going to reopen the budget. That's the finance committee, council's decision. Unless I hear separately that, hey, we would probably have to come up with this 34 grand. I'll just point out that's a 3% tax increase or a hit on our savings account, or a combination of both. I very much do not like, it's no longer a threat, it's now been put in play. I can't think of the exact word. It's not holding us hostage. I guess it is holding us hostage.
Mayor Burr, you put a huge burden on yourself here. A discussion, and I guess the burden is huge, Mayor, because the threat has been made. We're passing bylaws.
Well, the reason that I need to do it is because I have no skin in the game. I have no vested emotion in this thing. There's everybody else does, and so I will call for factual and technical help as necessary. Leave it with me for now, for at least 3 or 4 days, and let's see what happens. I just started a discussion with Andrew this afternoon. This is sitting down over a glass, bottle of wine, and seeing how it goes. I'm hopeful. I asked Andrew at the end of the discussion to come up with non-monetary ways we can do this, and I believe there are plenty. So shall we leave it there? Okay. Good. So that was all for new business. We'll just continue on the agenda. Do you have a bet running on this?
I've already lost. Actually, you were first.
Public questions and comments?
I wasn't counting on Councillor Watterson stuffing the ballot.
Well, I think it was a valuable discussion because now we all know that it's potentially serious. But certainly I take it seriously. Public question and comments? You're not allowed to comment anymore. Mr. Kisser.
Okay. Okay, so because of the nature of this discussion, the first thing that I think about is risk. Risk to individuals in the community. What does this mean, really? So, does this mean that there's potential for no response and somebody to be hurt?
No fire department response? Yes, the logic is there that there will not be a call, but we still have the ambulance service, of course.
Excuse me if I could just interrupt. We do have mutual aid with West Van. If there's a non-response from Lions Bay, Lions or West Van are going to be coming in. They're a good delay. That's a good problem.
10 minutes? Okay, so that is...
They currently pay 10 minutes.
There's multiple implications of relying on that as a policy matter, both in terms of home insurance and cost. I did deliver...
Paramedics, right?
Sorry?
Paramedics?
We still will have BC ambulance service, yes, correct. I did deliberately sit myself with Mr. Mike Smith this morning. I had a little chat.
I should call Nina.
It's the mayor of West Van, by the way. So, yeah, this is not a simple matter.
I personally think that the system is flawed when it comes down to this. This should have been something that was considered a long time ago and maybe should have been dealt with on increments or whatever the case is as time goes on, not because this is a bad year.
It's a bad year to
Really
be honest.
bad year with all the stuff that happened. And so I think that, these are things that have to be flushed out and put on the table and sort of talked about so that we don't ever, we'll go through this now, we're obviously going through it, but we need to make sure that we put something in place that's going to carry on.
I have every confidence that we can fix it next year. We'll have a lot of, I never call it surplus money, but unearmarked budget. I'm just not very pleased with is it hostage? Is that, am I using it? Are we held hostage?
That's not like,
We're not going to pay the ransom.
So, are we still open to the floor?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are we allowed to do that?
It's sort of, yeah.
Okay, so...
Because it's you.
So now, maybe that's the case. I'm pretty sure from Anthony's point of view, because we all know, like I know too, he wouldn't do something like this lightly. And I don't think he's more on the hostage side of things. He's trying to manage a group. And so, the group in the rooms here that have done that also, and when things are starting to be difficult in terms of motivating the group, then he's walking the line there. But somebody said something here, the perception of, they're being taken advantage of, that kind of thing. So maybe there's the genesis of a solution there, so that we as a community can take it upon ourselves, maybe led by this group, by our electeds, to do something that's official from the community towards the fire department, along the lines of us doing something for them, or something like that.
Okay, I like that. Yeah.
And make that an official day or something like that, so that we can communicate to them how important that we feel that they are. I don't know, just a thought.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Firefighter Day should really be Firefighter Appreciation Day. They shouldn't be working for it.
Maybe they did an awful lot for us on
Oh,
that
it's-
day.
it's unbelievable.
Maybe we should be the other way around.
Yeah.
And this is like a tangent, I know I can't speak, but I can get data for anyone on every single call, every single person, every single demographic in terms of homeowners or whatever. So I can supply that data if anyone wants that. That doesn't affect the actual bigger picture here, I think.
It does not.
But I guess I'm sort of commenting a little bit on some of Fred's comments whereby they'll still be turned out. Well, there may be, but maybe it's just grading me and grading me and Stu. And actually maybe it won't be, maybe just me and Stu.
I don't think anybody disagrees with the need to compensate for a fairly onerous duty to stay in the village. I don't think anybody here says no. We don't have the money.
It's an ability to pay.
It's that simple. So we will come up with other ways to bridge the gap until we can pay. And I have every confidence next year we will come up with probably a better one. Okay, let's leave it there. Motion to adjourn. Second, all in favour? Opposed? Carried.